Hello, I'm Josh Matches, and welcome to our Nasdaq Pride Month series. And I'm joined by Kat Obuhoff and Eliza Rhee from Dropbox. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Josh.
So talk to us about PrideBox, your LGBTQ employee resource group. How was it started? How did you build it? And how did you build it in New York?
Sure. So PrideBox is our employee resource group. We have a bunch of different employee resource groups at Dropbox for all different types of employees. And they're all really just a grassroots organization. It just took one or two people who wanted to form a group so we can support each other and build community. I originally started working in the San Francisco office, which is our headquarters, where, at the time our PrideBox organization wasn't super organized and it was small, and there were just a few of us who just wanted to make sure that there were activities going on throughout the year, especially around Pride Month. And, we did small little things in the beginning. Part of it would be, marching in parades, and now, and then like just having LGBTQ film screenings in the office, just to bring awareness, and then there'd be email threads about like things going on in the communities outside. As Dropbox grew, so did our ERGs, and our PrideBox ERG in particular. I then moved to our New York office, and Eliza was in the New York office as well. And it's one of our smaller offices compared to headquarters. And so what we did was we kind of brought the forces together and came up with some, event planning for the month of June for Pride, and found other allies and community members who also has, it's just growing every year. So it's been really fun to do that and get a chance to volunteer with local organizations. Eliza can probably speak a little bit more to that stuff too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when I joined Dropbox, one of the things that really lured me in was PrideBox. When I was doing a little research, and I saw something about PrideBox on their blog, and I arrived to the New York City office and I realized we don't really have a PrideBox presence here. So that was one of the things I knew that I wanted to get involved with and raise some visibility for our office. But doing it alone wasn't easy, So when Kat came around, it was a perfect opportunity to kind of like join forces. But we realized as a smaller office, a lot of the things they do at headquarters are not easily accomplished here. Mm-hmm. So in retrospect, what we ended up doing was pivoting outwardly towards the community, looking at other smaller offices, like tech companies in particular, partnering with them, combining our resources and our budget, to throw something out there for Pride Month that would be a little more substantial than what we could have done on our own.
What would you say to LGBTQ prospective employees? I mean, Dropbox is obviously growing rapidly. You've built this incredible group. Is it a defining reason to come work at Dropbox?
I mean, for me it was. I've been in the closet at work for over 20 years. Well, not over 20, let's say about 20 years. It was something that was pretty standard when I first entered the workforce. When I, started looking for another position, I said, that part has got to change. With marriage equality just passing, I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm still in the closet. So that was one of the things I knew I needed to do. I needed to find a place where I could do that pretty easily, and Dropbox seemed to be the place to be. So.
Kat, what would you say to companies that are thinking about launching an ERG, and particularly an LGBTQ one? Yeah. What advice would you give?
I would give the advice, speaking from my own experience, like I just took things that I was interested or skills I already had and brought those into the workplace. You don't have to go and like plan some huge event, you can just start really small, like the film screenings were one thing. It was, whatever, you can rent a couple films and then just watch them together.
Big,
yeah,
right?
It doesn't have to be huge. Yeah. And it's a really great way to just kind of get people to come together, just to do something fun. And then from there, you can start looking at forming a mission statement, getting support from, execs in the company, and finding out, how you can grow and Yeah.
No, that's true. It doesn't have to be substantial at first. It can be
No.
fun and
And
approachable.
Eliza, you guys were both fundamental in setting up your New York Pride group. What would you say about kind of advice for setting up a chapter? Because I think sometimes companies think that they just have to set up one ERG for the whole company, but if you're a global company, and today most are, it's a little more difficult because you really do have to have kind of on-the-ground presence in every office.
Right. I can answer that. So one of the reasons why I leaned on Kat so heavily is because she really understands the culture at Dropbox. You know,
Yeah.
she's got the years behind her. She's got the relationships with the employees. I, being relatively new and not as visible, it was difficult to kind of recruit volunteers and so on and so forth. But I mean, really just start small. Understand the culture of your company, whether it be at a satellite office or at headquarters, and develop programming around that so that people would feel more interested in doing something with you. I mean, you don't want to throw something out there that's too random, or too serious at first. I think that was probably my mistake at first, having a very strong community organizing background. Something light and fun. So last year we did some heavy training and ally workshops and, helping people understand how they can be a better ally or advocate. But this year we decided to pivot the other way and throw out a voguing workshop, something more fun, something more interactive, something that people go, yeah, I'm interested. And then we'll try to insert ourselves with something educational as well.
Yes. We're doing an ally panel
Yeah.
tomorrow at the office over lunch, so it's a time when people are a little more free and, and we've asked, managers to encourage their reports to come to the panel and, try to get folks involved who I think there is a little bit of fear for people who actually are allies or just want to participate that they can't participate because they don't necessarily identify. And, that's not what this is about. This is about just bringing people together who have common, things they care about, who want to just make the world a better place and make sure their workplace is reflective of who they are,
How do you guys think about programming outside of Pride Month, and how do you make sure that you're being inclusive of allies?
So we're both part of the Diversity Council too at New York City office, so we have dual roles. So we actively work with the other ERGs. We're lucky, we're smaller offices, so we can talk one-on-one with a lot of people and get some ideas from them, take feedback and concerns. We're not perfect. We understand that, we embrace it. We just evolve from there. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely, of course it's really easy to kind of just focus on Pride Month, and we do try to stretch it out throughout the year. So a lot of the time it's going to other companies' offices for their events, and just coming up in a presence there.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think sometimes people think they have to do it all internally, but all of these ERGs are all about communities and not your own community, and it's about kind of spreading your wings and making connections, and sometimes they're business connections, sometimes they're personal connections, but it's all about deepening the way we all work.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of it is, this is all stuff that we do electively, it's not, part of my normal day role at work, and I need to fulfill those,
Right, it's not a goal.
Yeah, I'm not evaluating. I mean, Dropbox is really great. We actually do add that as part of our
Really?
evaluation.
It's baked into your values.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah. When we do our annual reviews, they take a look at what ERG or community
work,
involvement we do,
Anything.
So they definitely recognize that on a professional level, but in the reality, it's we're doing this a lot of the time on our own time. So it's we don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time we do an event. Let's work with partners at other companies who are having an event and co-sponsor or just show up or ask them what are you guys doing? And kind of just taking this similar ideas. And I think that's really one way that we can all support each other from different companies is helping, because I mean time is hard to get around this.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we created the LGBT Leaders
Yeah.
Conference, because we were looking for a way to bring the community together rather than, you know, Nasdaq, we have a substantial LGBT group, but you know, we're still foundational and we need help, and
Yeah.
we recognize that we can't do it on our own. So I think that's a really great lesson for every ERG, is that you don't have to have all the answers to start.
No, and it's a lot of it's trial and error, I would say, you know, like just finding out what people will actually show up for, and what they won't, and just kind of reiterating on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the Nasdaq LGBT Leadership Conference, because I benefited immensely from it. There are two major takeaways that I kind of learned from that experience. Is one, you know, the ERGs represent the conscience of the company,
Yeah.
and that is something now I use as a phrase. It is absolutely true. And two, I do see more opportunities for a mentor-mentee
Yeah.
kind of like relationship with folks who are, you know, in executive positions, you know, people that we can look forward to, not just for professional development, but also they have a unique perspective that we can all relate to, and they might be able to help us, you know, provide some advice or insight that we normally wouldn't be comfortable asking anybody else. So that was amazing. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Last question. What is Dropbox and what are PrideBox doing in all of your offices for Pride?
Oh my gosh, so much. It's too much. They gave us a long list. I'm like, we're not going to say all these guys.
You want to?
San Francisco drag show. All of us basically have a good number of events that
Yeah.
are open to all.
Okay.
Right. So there's a drag show opening. We all have kick-up parties in New York City. We had the voguing. We're having the voguing workshop. We go to museums together.
Yesterday we went to the David Bowie
Yeah.
Oh, that's
exhibit
so
at
cool.
the Brooklyn Museum.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the educational part,
Yeah.
right?
Field trip part. Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff. But you know, we also make sure that we raise visibility to a local nonprofit group,
Yeah.
right? So last year it was Transgender Legal Service, right? Legal Defense Fund. And then this year it's the Larkin Group, right?
Yeah,
in San
so
Francisco.
the San Francisco office is supporting the Larkin Youth
Right.
Services Group. And then,
This year we're doing outright.
well, this year we're doing, like one thing that's actually really fun and really easy to do if anybody's looking for an idea, we're doing trivia. Like, people in the office love doing trivia.
Everybody loves trivia.
Everybody loves trivia. And so we're doing a trivia, there's like a buy-in, and then we take that money, and then whoever wins gets to pick the LGBTQ.
Oh, that's great.
Profit that they want to donate.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's something that's fun. It's easy. It doesn't really cost anything. So, yeah. So we're doing that next week. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Kat and Eliza, thank you so much for joining us,
you.
and thank
Thank
you
you.
for everything that PrideBox does for the LGBTQ community.
Thank you
so
for
much.
inviting us, and thank you for having your leadership conference as well.
Yeah, and thanks for ringing the opening bell.
Thank you.